It's been it's been a very slow winter and all that jazz. Um, Self love, unconditional love to self. It's important as much as we because and self love is not just like is what you see advertised. Like we have everybody posting themselves saying that they love themselves, and like they got all the best skincare products and fucking hair care products, and they eating all the fucking best foods from across the fucking world and shit. And like they drinking fancy wines and going on fancy dinners, and then like that is what self-love is advertised. But when unconditional self-love, and maybe some of us still need to get there. I know myself, I'm not all the way there. um but the idea of unconditional self-love, basically wherever you are in life, or like wherever you are in life, whether you're in bondage, whether you're free, whether you're awakened enlightenment, um or whether you're out here in these streets, whether you're a heathen, whether you're doing all the flesh-based stuff, and like all the emotional stuff and all the rest of it, all the physicality stuff and all the rest of it, all the addictions and vices and all the rest of it. In some way, shape, or form, you still love yourself. Like you still talk to yourself a certain way, and you're still achieving, not, but just being able to be in the present moment, being able to be awareness, because you kind of realize that you're not the body. um and that there was something that I heard, um and it made sense. This week, the lot, I was in a lot of weird energies and everything else. And I was watching something, and this dude said that a lot of times the situations that we go through, the situations that we did go through, is based off the lack of self love that we have within ourselves. And when you kind of think about it, I know for myself, in some situations, if I had more self love for myself, I wouldn't be in some situations. There would just be some things that just based off the vibe alone, I wouldn't be there. And at least in some cases, we can still get attached to the outside world and what the outside world thinks and everything else, even though all of it is just illusion. The only thing that we deal with is just loops and patterns, loops and patterns, loops and patterns, loops and patterns. That's why things look and feel solid, because it's just a loop, it's a pattern. In those moments, in those moments, you can kind of like realize what's going on. And it's like, it's not like that, because let me say this, it's not like change happens overnight. That's why you gotta be grateful and show yourself grace for where you are, despite where you are. This is not a overnight thing where we learn some things and then the next day we're there. There's still some things that we still have to get over emotionally. There's still some things within us that we still gotta look at. And by the grace of God, we're still here. By the grace of God, we're still here. By the grace of God, we're still here. We're still living. We're still thriving. We're still trying to be the best we can be. We in our minds anyway. Whatever we pay attention to and everything else, that's what the reality's gonna be. With that powerful, and you have to accept reality for what it is. I had this conversation. With a beautiful woman. Right? I was just chilling. I was just drinking my tea and everything else. This woman came over. We was talking and everything else, and it snowed a lot. It snowed a lot, and there was this tree. She acknowledged in the middle of a conversation. It was weird. She acknowledged this tree. This tree that was, it was windy and everything else, but it was still standing. Like it had leaves. It had the leaves fall, and like it was just one of them like little trees in the middle of the sidewalk. It was a little tree. I acknowledged the fact that it was still standing, and she gave me this thing. She said, "You have to be more flexible, so you won't break." I'm paraphrasing. It was something along those lines of being more flexible so you won't break. So you're talking about how you have to be like a tree. You have to be adaptative in life. You have to be more flexible in life. Life, reality is going to be reality. And you have to be able to move along with it. You can't want reality to be a certain way. You have to accept reality for what it is and be adaptative. I remember after that conversation, I had this thought, about all the times and everything else that maybe I wasn't adaptative. I wasn't looking reality for what it was and everything else. And those were the times when, I had like a broken state or whatever the case may be. It's not easy. It's not easy to be adaptative and everything else, and because some of us still want reality to be a certain way. Some of us can still fall into our egos and really think that life's supposed to just be a certain way for us. if we had this and if this never happened, or, like if we had this amount of people, or we had this fucking girlfriend, or we had this fucking husband, or whatever the case may be. We always think that those things is going to determine the quality of our lives. We want reality to bend to our comfort and so on and so forth. But 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. Because you can't label, life is unknown. It's just full of unknownness, even though that you can be in a loop, you can be in like a cycle or whatever the case may be, it's still unknown. It's still unknown. You never know. You don't know what's going to happen the next day or whatever the case may be. It's just these little things. That's why being present and everything else, and realizing that every day is a new day. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new day. A lot of times we just react to the mind and how the body feels, but really, every day is a new day. You can't put a pinpoint or anything else. You can't really guarantee that things is gonna happen and so on. So when it comes to that, it is you. It is you. It is you that is the ultimate power of this place. You have to realize, and this comes with anything that you're doing. If it's not bringing you some type of peace or some type of joy, regardless of whatever it is, and this is just like self-love, you have to ask yourself, why are you doing X, Y, Z? If it's not bringing you joy or whatever the case may be. It can be bondage, but it's just those things you have to ask yourself. Even vice versa, you have to ask yourself why you're not doing the things that you want to do. Because there's times throughout everyday life, and it's a game anyway. So just fucking, why you not doing the things that you want to do? Why you not being the person that you know you should be? There was also something that said you don't have to regret loving something. Despite however that something hurt you, or, fucking disappointed you, or fucking however the thing is, right? If you just romanticize the thing or had a certain idea of the thing. But God or consciousness doesn't it doesn't regret loving through you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because love is the thing that powers this place. You shouldn't have to regret loving something. You know, just being having the power to love something and having the power to still love something. You know, you shouldn't have to regret that, not even a little bit. Ultimately, at the end of the day, love, most importantly, unconditional love. Most importantly, self-unconditional love. It's important, very important. Discovering oneself and all those sorts of things. It might not feel the best, you know, at these times of solitude and everything else and all that jazz, but this is how we become powerful. From where you're standing, you're infinite, you know. You're infinite just based off who you are.